Saturday morning, the Experts program continues here on Power Talk Radio. And joining us right now is Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group. Luis, good morning.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Doing pretty well. We've got the Super Bowl coming up tomorrow.
I know. I'm so excited. I hope that it's a competitive, fun game like all of the playoff games have been. It would be a real disappointment if it turns out to be a blowout after, such a great year of playoff games.
Right. Yeah, the Rams and the Bengals. And what the heck? The Bengals haven't been to the Super Bowl since 1989.
Yeah.
And they haven't won a Super Bowl ever. So I'll tell you what, I'll go for the underdogs. We'll go for the Bengals. That's my position.
They're young quarterback, and it's going to be interesting because you got the tale of two quarterbacks, one that's been around for a long time and hasn't had a chance to be in the Super Bowl, let alone win it, and another one that's just brand spanking new that probably will see more than one Super Bowl in his lifetime.
Sure. And that Matt Stafford, which is a great comeback story for him, I mean, he was buried for the longest time in Detroit, which is quite frankly got to be the worst place to send for a player to play, because Detroit is always so uncompetitive. I mean, if they ever get to 500, the people in Detroit will do cartwheels down the street. Yep. And they've just been horrible for so long. And boy, you talk about, you tell a player shape up or we're going to trade you to Detroit, right? And here's a guy who was able to get out of Detroit and get on a competitive team. And now we're really seeing what his skill set is. And it's a pretty doggone good one.
Yep, absolutely. I'm rooting for him a little bit because of that. I think.
Yes, but not all the way because they beat our 49ers.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Hey, the IRS is working with a startup called ID.me that stores the quote-unquote inferred citizenship of some users. Now, this will create a huge new pool of personal data for police and other authorities to tap into. So what's the issue here, and why are they going in this direction?
Well, a lot of organizations now are starting to embrace facial recognition as a way of proving who you are. In fact, if you sign up for Clear, for example, that's that service that allows you to get on airplanes faster. It also is being used for access to arenas and sports complexes.
Yes.
To prove that you're vaccinated. Well, they use facial recognition. So ID.me is a service that a lot of government agencies are starting to embrace, and they require you to prove who you are, not just by putting in your user ID and password, but then you have to snap a picture of yourself and confirm your identity. And the way it works is when you sign up for this service, you have to have some sort of proof of ID, either a license, a driver's license or a passport. You scan that in and then you take a picture of your face. So basically matches the two. And from that point on, when you try to access any sites that are linked to ID.me, you will have to scan your face to get in there. And a lot of people are super concerned about this because this, is another step in that slippery slope to identity. I don't know if we can call it theft, but just the idea that the U.S. government will now have access to millions and millions of these pictures that they can then use to scan for
everything,
all sorts of things. Yeah, it frightens some people that are for privacy rights.
And the other thing too is one of the ways they'll get everybody to buy into this is, for example, if you want to log into the IRS.gov website and you want to see, hey, where's my refund? Well, before you can go any further to find out where your refund is, you would have to use ID.me to verify your identity.
Yep.
So this is one of the ways that they're going to get a lot of people. And yeah, this can be definitely abused. What was that movie that you and I have talked about? Was it Enemy of the State with Gene Hackman and Will Smith?
Enemy of the State, yeah.
I mean, this is Enemy of the State personified. This is like it on steroids, where, they would have just the ability to check into everybody by having your face. And then what about this inferred citizenship thing? As far as how's that supposed to work? Are they going to turn this information over to the Border Patrol? They're looking for people that have been in the country for a long time that are not citizens?
Yeah, that's the question, is like, to what extent is this data going to be used beyond just for authentication purposes? ID.me says we're not going to share anything. Our database is not accessible by the U.S. government. We're just providing the service for authentication, but we're not giving them the actual user data. But I know as a veteran, I use ID.me to get access to a number of government websites related to vets. vets, including the Department of Defense and Veterans Affairs. So I had to go through this process of providing my license, the ID that confirms who I am. And I was comfortable doing it for Veterans Affairs, but now I'm thinking, well, now this is starting to grow a little bit. So we'll see. But it's not just government agencies that are breaking this more and more. Even today, if you own a Windows device like a laptop or a desktop, you can use something called Windows Hello that uses facial recognition to log in and to bypass a user ID and password. So this is becoming more prevalent, and I think we're going to see it more and more.
You have to wonder how secure the data is. Okay, so this company is going to store all of this information about people, and how secure will their storage be? Because you know that hackers all over the world, Nigeria, Ukraine, Russia, wherever, they're going to look at a company like ID.me and say, man, this is absolutely go to town. They're going to start hacking on these people to see if they can get into that database and see what's in there. It'd be a treasure trove of information.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they basically put a target on their backs, if you will, by becoming this source of all of this really good quality data that hackers are going to go after, to your point. It's like this is a treasure trove that they can't ignore.
So for someone who, because the thing I just mentioned to you a moment ago, if you want to find out where your tax refund is, you would have to, and you go online to the IRS website, you would actually have to use ID.me. Now, maybe the only way around that would be that you would call one of the IRS's 800 numbers and sit there and go through the voicemail hell and spend 45 minutes or an hour on the phone waiting for someone to answer it in order to find out that information, only to be told that you need to go online and go sign up through ID.me to find out where, because they're not going to tell you. So
exactly.
I guess it'll be like the old days, instead of going to look for your refund online, you just wait for it to land in your bank account or come in the mail. That's how we used to do it.
Yeah, you cross your fingers and hope it shows up someday.
Yeah. I mean, there got to be other things we can do in our lives and have to give up our personal information.
I'm afraid that this is not the end of this kind of facial recognition thing. Mm-hmm. We're starting to see it at, even at airports now, there's some airlines that are experimenting with using facial recognition as a way to check you in rather than a paper ticket.
Well, we can always take a bike.
There you go.
Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, has been our guest today. Online, it's alvareztg.com. At AlvarezTG, that is the Twitter handle. And Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.